What a start to 2025, 1 month and a full-blown tariff war, all thanks to Donald Trump. Now, to be fair, he did promise to do exactly this, to tax allies and rivals alike. He spent around 10 days calibrating his plans, and then over the weekend he did it. President Trump imposed tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico and China. It's 25% for Canada and Mexico and 10% for China. Now, this is unprecedented stuff. All three countries are America's biggest trading partners. Mexico is a neighbor. Canada, too, is a neighbor, also a NATO ally. Yet Trump has not spared them. His tariffs are a big policy gamble. They will target imports worth $1.4 trillion. If it works, Trump will make it to the history books. And if it doesn't, well, he'll still make it to the history books, but in a different light. So tonight, let's look at this unfolding tariff war. Why is Donald Trump waging it? What has been the market reaction? And how are these countries responding? First, some Tariff 101. Tariffs are basically a tax on foreign goods. Say you're importing a Chinese smartphone from Beijing. One phone is worth $10,000, for example. And Trump's tariff is 10%. So the tax on this import is $1,000. On paper, this tax is paid by importers, but the actual burden falls on the customers. Why? Because the importers will sell the phone at a higher cost to cover the tariff. This is a classic side effect of tariffs, a rise in domestic prices. Trump has rejected this possibility, though, but he did hint at short-term disruptions.
Tariffs don't cause inflation, they cause success. Cause big success. So we're going to have great success. There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that.
And why is Trump doing it? To fight drugs and illegal migration. That's what he says. He says both things, drugs and illegal immigrants, are pouring through the two borders. The northern one with Canada and the southern one with Mexico. These are America's two borders. Tariffs are his way of forcing them to act, to make them tighten the border. And what's been the reaction? Well, the markets don't like this sort of protectionism. They prefer free trade policies, and it shows in the numbers. The German markets are down by 1.9%. The French index is also down by 1.7%. In Japan, the Nikkei closed almost 2.6% down. And in India, the Sensex was 0.4% down. And in the US, the markets have just opened. S&P 500 is already 1.6% down. Most big firms are bleeding money, and this is probably just the beginning of the slide because Trump is not done yet. He has also promised tariffs on the European Union.
We are treated so badly. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products, essentially. They don't take almost anything. And we have a tremendous deficit with the European Union, so we'll be doing something very substantial with the European Union. We're going to bring the level up to where it should be.
Now, the business community is split on this. The CEO of JP Morgan earlier supported tariffs. He said they can be used effectively. But America's largest newspaper is not impressed. That's the Wall Street Journal. Their editors are calling it the dumbest trade war in history. No such split among politicians, though. Leaders across the world are opposing Trump's tariffs. Both Canada and Mexico are doing tit for tat. They're imposing tariffs on American goods. Canada has already released a list of targeted products. More than 1,200 items have been listed. This includes US guns, meat and alcohol. The first wave of these tariffs will be imposed on Tuesday. The rest will follow in 21 days. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada spoke to the press on Saturday. He struck an emotional yet defiant note.
History has made us friends. Economics has made us partners, and necessity has made us allies. That rang true for many decades prior to President Kennedy's time in office, and in the decades since. From the beaches of Normandy to the mountains of the Korean Peninsula, from the fields of Flanders to the streets of Kandahar, we have fought and died alongside you.
Trust Trudeau to dramatize things. He's also planning to sue the Trump administration to file a complaint at the WTO. That's the World Trade Organization. Trudeau says the tariffs violate a free trade deal. So he's going to file a legal case. China is planning the same. They have slammed Trump's 10% tariffs, and they too will approach the World Trade Organization. But the backlash does not end here. If Trump slaps tariffs on Europe, this could spiral out of control. Today, European Union leaders met in Brussels. They were joined by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Their primary goal was to discuss defense, but naturally, Trump came up. The EU appears to be united on the tariff threat. The Polish Prime Minister called it a stupid tariff war, and French President Macron called it an attack.
It's simple. We think the priority is this strategic agenda and the security of our borders. If we're attacked on trade topics, as a power that holds, Europe has to make itself respected and react.
Well, this is why we called it a gamble. Trump is imposing tariffs across the board on allies, on neighbors, and on rivals. But that blunts the impact of tariff pressure. Any tool must be used with tact, whether it's a weapon, a financial policy, or even words. We're calling the show Vantage. We hope you like what we put together for you. Touted as the minimum defense from that video. India's neighbors were the first to send the special edition of Vantage live from the White House throughout this week. Yes, Hindu Mandir in we're on our way to Tel Aviv. Pretty measure, but it's also the perfect way to drive.
I don't think that
Prime Minister of Bhutan, Sheryl Tagwe. Welcome to
60% of the world's
office. Prime Minister Modi did the iron.
we were actually
How are you doing? How do you like? It's been 1 year since that meeting. Iron bars separate you from the outside. Out the vote efforts. Trump had, it says, and at $4.3 trillion. 300 billion by 2030. That's what we need to tackle climate change.